Thank you, Travis. We begin tonight's regional news in Jamaica. Approximately 450,000 Jamaicans are to be immunized against the novel coronavirus next year, when the first batch of vaccines are expected to be shipped to the island, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has reported. The vaccine will be administered to 16% of the population, with health officials and seniors being identified as priority. The minister said the projection is to have vaccines ready for administration to 1% of the initial 16% of the population by April, another 3% by mid-2021, and the remainder by the end of the year. The minister said the projection is to have vaccines ready for administration to 1% of the initial 16% of the population by April, another 3% by mid-2021, and the remainder by the end of the year. Noting that the country has recorded more than 11,000 COVID-19 cases and more than 260 deaths to date, Tufton said the vaccination of the population must form part of the country's response to the virus. He cautioned, however, that the country cannot hang, I quote, all our hopes on vaccination, end of quote, noting that vigilance will have to be maintained with other response measures as the fight against the pandemic continues. Now for some news out of Trinidad. Police Commissioner Gary Griffith is encouraging more women to apply for firearm users licenses FUL to protect themselves against criminal elements. His call came yesterday in the wake of public outrage over violence against women, children, and the murders of 18-year-old Ashanti Riley and the discovery of the body of missing mother Crystal Primos Espinoza. Speaking at a press conference at the Police Administration building in Port of Spain, Griffith said, I quote, I want to inform all women in the country there is nothing against women having a firearm. A firearm is something that can be an asset to you. There is no need to be fearful of a firearm. Firearms do not kill people. People kill people. A firearm should not be something you feel so sensitive that you feel that you do not want it, end of quote, Griffith said. However, the commissioner said he was concerned that 95% of the applicants were men. Out of 30,000 firearm license applicants, just about 3,000 were women. Turning our attention to Brazil. Brazil's Gol has become the first airline to resume commercial flights with the Boeing 737 MAX. The plane had been grounded worldwide since March 2019 following two deadly crashes which killed 346 people. But following an overhaul, the first passenger flight took off from Gol's hub in Sao Paulo on a flight to the city of Porto Alegre. Gol had earlier said that 140 of its pilots had undergone training on the overhauled plane in the United States. So far, only the United States and Brazil have recertified the jet. Gol, the biggest domestic airline in Brazil, has 7 Boeing 737 MAX planes, which it plans to use on 27 commercial domestic flights. And finally, on the international scene, the Supreme Court of Nevada rejected an appeal late Tuesday from President Donald Trump's campaign to overturn the election results in the state, affirming President-elect Joe Biden's win in one of the battleground states that gave him overall victory. It was the latest court failure for Trump and his allies, who have lost dozens of cases in states and federal courts in an unsuccessful attempt to nullify the results of the November 3 election. Trump says the result was fraudulent, but no court has found evidence to support his assertions. Last week, a district court in Nevada ruled that Trump campaign had not proven and claimed that there had been a malfunction in voting devices and the contest between Trump and Biden had been manipulated. I quote, "We also are not convinced that the district court erred in applying a burden of proof by clear and convincing evidence as supported by the cases cited in the district court's order," end of quote, Nevada's Supreme Court said in its judgment. Nevada's Republican Party said it was, and I quote, "extremely disappointed," end of quote, by the decision. And that is all for your regional news. Thank you for joining. Back to you, Travis.